Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Do you hear what I hear? Do you see anything? Do you hear anything? Does any of this make sense at all? I mean, really, I'm just asking a simple question here. This might be a rhetorical question. This might be a real, honest-to-God question. This just might be a question that has to be asked when you try to do a simple thing like go live on Facebook. Simple thing, you know? Simple thing. Very, very simple thing. It's a simple thing. I'm a simple man. And here it is, a simple, don't make me lose my temper, live broadcast here on Facebook. It is time, everybody, to break on through. Yes, I'm going to pick up a pillow and throw it on the floor. I'm going to pick up another pillow and throw it on the floor. Whew, it's been one of those days, kids. And I'm sure that's exactly what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, well, gee whiz, it's Tuesday at 5 p.m. I tuned into the Antiseen Facebook page to see Jeff Clayton do his break on through, and I get this other guy. This feels like it's 1977 all over again, and I tuned into the Tonight Show to see Johnny Carson, and there's Robin Williams. Well, I got to tell you guys, breaking on through is one of the great things in life. Live streaming on Facebook is one of the great things in life, and we're all devoted to it. We all love it. It's all wonderful. But every once in a while, the real world intrudes. Every once in a while, a man's got to go to a rock show. And that is what is happening right now with the Heel Prez. Jeff Clayton himself is, I believe, en route to a live rock concert event. Hall and Rundgren is playing at a venue near him. So, I mean, let's face it, sometimes you got to go see Hall and Rundgren, and sometimes you just can't break on through on the Facebook. You got to go break on through in person and be in the audience, man. So that's what he's doing. Excuse me, because he's doing that, I'm doing this. And who am I, you might ask? Well, I would hope you know, but in case you don't, I'm going to tell you right now, my name is Malcolm Tent. I am the strummer of the Thunder Lumber, a.k.a. the bass player for Antiseen, the band. When it comes to Antiseen, the governmental structure, I am the minister of a 4-syllable word. First syllable is pra. Second syllable is pa. Third syllable is gan. And the fourth syllable is da. So if you say those 4 syllables together quickly, pra, and then pa, and then gan, and then da, you'll know what evil, nasty, cancelable office it is that I handle with Antiseen. I am the minister of that 4-syllable word, and it is in that capacity as the minister of pra, pa, gan. And I won't say the 4th syllable just to be safe, but I am here to break on through in lieu of Jeff Clayton, who's out rocking and rolling and having a good old time. Took me a few minutes to get going here, but I did do it. My setup is a little bit different from Jeff's. I have an actual webcam that I use that I set up on my desk. And this webcam is one of the most amazingly designed things I've ever come across. It's a camera on a tripod, with 3 legs. And each leg has these, it's made of these little plastic triangles that snap together so you can adjust the height. And then the plastic triangles snap into the thing that holds the camera. If you pick the camera up, it's almost guaranteed that one of those legs will just fall right out. And once the leg just kind of falls right out, just by the simple action of picking up the camera, and the leg just drops right off, it takes about 10 minutes to get the damn leg back into the tripod thing. That's what I was doing while the clock was ticking away at 5 p.m., trying to wedge the camera leg back into the tripod after it just ever so daintily and delicately dropped out when I picked it up But I'm here, and I'm drinking a gallon of Danbury Tap and trying to cool this temper off, man. And of course, when I go to log on to Facebook to do the live stream, I can't just press the button that says live video. It wants to take me through a 25-step tutorial on they're offering, none of which I'm interested in at all. And I'm sure you're not interested in it either. And then I try to go into my telephone so I can monitor Break On Through. And it does the exact same thing. And so now I don't even know where I am on this wretched, ridiculous, stupid Facebook, because the only way I can see your comments and your suggestions and your things is for me to go onto my phone. And the phone won't let me go onto the Antiseen page, which is why I'm doing this now live on Facebook while you watch. How cool is that? How cool is that? Probably cooler than I am right now because I'm a little bit steamed. But I think I'm getting there. Ever so slowly, I think I'm getting there. See, now it wants me to update my page. I don't want to update the page, man. F you. But hey, look, I'm there. I got the monitor. I see, look, there's me. There I am. And there's the comments. So I can see that for a dang fact I am live and you guys are seeing it and it is happening. Bravo to me. Bravo to you. Now let's break on through. Before I get into the meat of today's matter, I would like to draw your attention to a few pressing issues. That's the way they say it in metropolitan New York. They say that you have an issue. Got a couple of issues to address right here on Break On Through. Issue number 1. You might have known about it already. You've heard about it from Jeff. But you have not heard it from the point of view of he who does the propagandization. Now, I'm very excited about it. You saw the teaser card when I was trying to log in. Yes, it's Antiseen live from Quarantine Volume 2. It's a 12-inch vinyl LP. That's the front. That's the back. As Screaming Lord Such would say, smoke and fire, baby. Smoke and fire. It's not only on the cover, it's in the grooves. Look at that delightful candy corn, orange and white vinyl. I was playing this son of a bitch yesterday. I played it so loud the cat jumped straight out the window. I don't care about that cat's feelings. I mean, I love my cat. Don't get me wrong, I love my cat. And I take very good care of my cat. But when it comes to my house, there's only one alpha male, baby, and that's me. So that means if I'm going to put on Antiseen Quarantine 2 on vinyl, the specific variant of candy corn vinyl, I'm going to play it loud enough to scratch my itch. And that's why the window is propped open at all times for the cat to leave if he can't handle it. Which he couldn't, so he left. But I guess there are no hard feelings because he came back once the racket was done with a nice, freshly killed, plump, dead mouse, which he left at his favorite spot, which is actually right in front of the turntable. So I kind of view that as like Harry the Cat's sacrificial offering to the almighty Antiseen. And I know that it was an offering because he didn't eat it. He eats plenty of mice. I wake up in the morning sometimes to hear that delicate crunch, crunch, crunch sound, and I know that Harry the Cat has fished himself a lovely meal on the hoof, fresh from the woods outside of my front door. But when he's feeling generous and loving, he will simply take the fresh kill and leave it gently placed in front of the turntable. And that's what he did yesterday after I, the alpha male, was done cranking this mofo. It sounds good, kids. It sounds real good. This album was a career highlight for yours truly. and getting to relive the glories of the live broadcast, Quarantine Halloween on vinyl, is one of the many, many, many perks of being the bass player and minister of propagandized, how do you say that in pig Latin? Propagandized and gay. I think that's about right. Propagandized and gay of Antiseen. I get the perks. And one of them is this on vinyl, baby. Look at this. Have you seen the glories of the booklet that comes with this thing? Look at that. That's the front. That's the back. You open it up, and what do you see? You got the rhythm section right there, baby. The rhythm section. If you're from the great country of Japan, your natural tendency will be to open it from this side. And so if you're looking at it from the Japanese perspective, you open it up to the front page, and what do you get? The front line, baby. The front line. Whether you are Oriental or Occidental, you get the benefits either way. And if you open it up right into the middle, you get the whole shooting match, kids. You get it. You get it. It's all there. Comes with the record. I love it. I'll admit it. I'll admit it. I love looking at pictures of me. I love it. I get a big kick out of it. I also love the details of this thing, man. If you look at the signatures very carefully, you will see that there's actual grain on each signature. You can see where a marker actually went over a sheet of paper and left grain. That was duplicated and replicated very carefully for you, the educated Antiseen consumer. These things are still available. If you haven't gotten yours yet, you better get with it and get on it and get it in your collection. Get Quarantine 2. Get Quarantine 1. Just do it. Because you know you got to do it. You know you need it. You know you want it. You know you got to have it. I will drink to that. You know what else you got to get? You got to get this pressing de la España, the great country of España. Spain has done a brand new pressing of the G.G. Allen Antiseen Murder Junkies LP. A cover that has never been seen before by human eyes. A back cover that has never been seen before by human eyes. You need it. Only released in Spain. Get it on Antiseen.com. Get the Scott Savage record. This record kicks butt. This record does not sound like any other record from the time and period that I have ever heard. It is not what you might expect. 1978. It's got a definite patina of the Doors, but it is not a copy of the Doors. It is not a slavish ripoff of the Doors. It takes that fundamental sound and does its own thing with it. And coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina in the late 1970s, it truly is unique. Released on Long-Haired Weirdo Records. This is good stuff. I've played it many a time. Tasty red vinyl. I'm seeing lots of hearts and thumbs and stuff there on the monitor. That's good. I like to see that people are paying attention when I sit here in the pulpit and lay some fundamental truths on you. You're all a good audience. Drink to yourselves. All right. We're going to break on through. Normally I would be checking the bulletin board and the calendar, but y'all can kind of see what's going on all around me. And I'll address these issues in detail after we wrap up. I want to talk about some stuff that is very near and dear to my heart, and I think also near and dear to the heart of the unimpeachable president himself, Jeff Clayton. One thing that's really, really cool about being in this band is hanging out with dudes who are as freakish about music as I am. And when we get in the van as a group, or if we're just driving somewhere, like either me and Barry or me and Jeff, in the recent past, me and Russ. I haven't driven anywhere with Walt yet, but I'm sure it'll be happening soon. Whenever any combination of us gets together, it is inevitable that we're going to talk about, well, professional wrestling, of course. At some point, professional wrestling is going to come up. Not sports entertainment. I'm going to make my bold statement right now. Hope you guys don't mind bold statements. I'm sure if you're an Antiseen fan, you don't mind bold statements. I'm going to make my bold statement right now. Because of the operation I was recently, well, voluntarily subjected to, I don't have the dexterity that I normally would with both hands. So one hand is going to have to do. When it comes to my opinion of sports entertainment, that's all I got to say on the matter. I let my finger do the talking. When it comes to professional wrestling, my heart is yours. Mi corazón es su cosa. My heart is your thing. We're talking about professional wrestling, kids. Big difference. But I'm swerving a little bit. The talk, when any number of Antiseen band members gets together, is either going to be professional wrestling or music. And having spent some time with Jeff Clayton in the rehearsal studio, in the vehicle, backstage at a gig, at the supper table, hither and yon, I've discovered that there are some things that we have in common a lot musically, and I want to share some of those with you guys today, because some of them are quite surprising. Some of them are not surprising. All of them are good. Every verschluggener one of them is good. Let's take a quick look at the monitor here. The much fabled monitor that's caused me so much heartburn in the past few minutes. Who's tuned in right now? Cindy, who is promoting the show November 5th at the Brass Mug, is tuned in. Marvin Haywood, Mac, Dave, Joe, Jesse, David. There's Mac again. Ms. Kit E. Cat, Bruiser Braswell, Stefan from way, way far distant, and a host of others. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Now, we're talking about things that we have in common, and Marvin, first name that he mentioned was Grand Funk Railroad. Marvin, you know us well. But Marvin, would you have ever guessed Klaus Nomi? Now, I couldn't say for an absolute fact, I couldn't prove it in a court of law, that Jeff Clayton is a big fan of Klaus Nomi. Excuse me, but I do see Jeff's Instagram feed regularly. Jeff posts a lot of really cool stuff on Instagram, and just the other day, he posted a picture of Klaus Nomi. I want to tell you people right now, straight from the shoulder, plain and direct, I love Klaus Nomi. Klaus Nomi is an effing genius. And if you don't know anything about Klaus Nomi, I would suggest you do yourself a favor and look him up. First of all, you've never heard a voice like Klaus Nomi's. Ever. That I will testify to in a court of law. You've never heard a voice like Klaus Nomi. And you've never, or I maybe shouldn't say never, but you have rarely ever will find somebody who is so completely devoted to their angle, to their image, to their persona as Klaus Nomi. In professional wrestling circles, I believe it would be called living your gimmick. It would also perhaps be called never breaking kayfabe. This is the way Klaus Nomi looked in real life. He lived in New York City in the late 70s and early 80s. And my favorite story about Klaus Nomi, one of many, is how he was spotted at an opera recital at the Metropolitan Opera in New York City in full Klaus Nomi drag. My friends, that is devotion to your craft. That is living your art. That is taking it further than 99.997% of any of us ever will. Plus, I love his music. I'm a big fan of New Wave. I cut my teeth on New Wave music of the early 80s. That was the stuff that really, really, really revved my motor. I mean, I first learned of punk rock in the late 70s, but I came to age as New Wave was happening. And Klaus Nomi was firmly a part of that whole movement. And like most people who have heard of Klaus Nomi know of him because of his appearance in Erg, A Music War. Full-length, feature-length concert movie that I actually saw in the theaters in around 1981. And the second Klaus Nomi hit the stage, I was just like, whoa. I don't think I believe what I'm seeing, and I'm not at all sure I believe what I'm hearing. But I loved it. So Jeff and I have never really talked about Klaus Nomi at length, and I'm sure we're gonna at some point. I figure if nothing else, we both agree that his complete devotion to his image and his style and his total mastery, his absolute mastery of image and style are to be respected and saluted. And I'll bet you dollars to dog biscuits we got that in common. Bet you weren't expecting that. Now, quite possibly, you would be expecting this. Whenever this artist comes on the radio or comes up as a topic of discussion, you know that the vote is unanimous. All for one and one for all, that we love this group right here. Yes, we love the man, but even more so, we love the band. Now, who out there is paying attention? Who's going to leave a comment and tell me who this is? I'm sure you know. I'm sure a bunch of you know. But I want to see it in writing. I want to pick up my monitor, and I want to see the name of this band come up a bunch of times. Come on, people, show me something. Show me something. Who is this? Who did I just demonstrate for you? I've shown, you tell. I'll wait. I'm a patient man. Here it comes. Yes. Yes. Mac and Dave and Adam and Andy and no doubt a few more, and Mark. Mark Deal makes the very important distinction that indeed this is the Alice Cooper band. 5 dudes under the one name umbrella of Alice Cooper. We're talking about Glenn Buxton, Dennis Dunaway, Neil Smith, Vincent Furnier, and Michael Bruce. It's hot outside. The one little clump of synapses that had the name Michael Bruce in there was a little bit fused, but I got it unjammed. Those 5 dudes were a group called Alice Cooper. At the very moment that I speak these words, 5:30 p.m. live on a Tuesday, Antiseen drummer Sir Barry Hannibal is in an Alice Cooper tribute band, along with the daughter of former Antiseen guitarist Mad Brother Ward. And they put on the whole show. I haven't seen it with my own two eyes, but I have seen it with at least one good eye on the internet, and it looks like they nail it. So, yeah, Alice Cooper runs thick and wet and clotted through the veins of Antiseen. We all agree on that. And of course, I did mention the big difference between the group Alice Cooper and the solo artist Cooper, Alice. Big difference. Big difference between the collaborative efforts of 5 dudes from Phoenix, Arizona, and one guy with a gigantic corporate money-making machine behind him. I do not disrespect solo Alice Cooper at all. Never have, never will. I'm just saying, there's a big difference. Big difference. I like them both. Or I should say, I like Alice Cooper as a solo. I genuflect before the altar of Alice Cooper, the group. And Jeff, like myself, definitely tends towards some of the weird stuff. I don't know if you guys have heard this, the first ever Alice Cooper record, Pretty's For You. This is a weird record, man. This is a bizarre, no pun intended, slab of wax. This is another one of those things that genuinely, legitimately does not sound like anything else in the Alice Cooper catalog, nor does it sound like pretty much any other record you've ever heard in your life. This is a weird-ass record, and it rocks hard. Love this record. We all agree on that. We also agree that a big, big favorite, and I can never decide if my favorite is Pretty's For You or Killer. Man, oh man, oh man. There's not 1 gram of fat on this record. Not 1 wasted groove on this record. And for those of us who are ancient and creaky and old, we remember going out to the record store and buying our copy of Killer and opening up the gatefold sleeve and finding this really super duper mega slick, crazy sick fold out 1972 calendar of the singer Cooper, Alice, hanging by the neck. In the era of the Osmonds and David Cassidy and the DeFranco family and Bobby Sherman, those were the teen idols that were acceptable. This was some pretty heady stuff. Some dude hanging by his neck. Whoa. Put that next to Bobby Sherman and scare your little sister out of the room. Never mind that. Look at the band themselves, man. That's not 5 Bobby Shermans. Those aren't the Osmonds, man. Those are 5 disturbing, sickly green-colored aliens. Looks like they're sitting in front of the TV watching a really bad horror movie from the 1930s and enjoying every second of it. They probably were. I cannot underestimate how heavy and how awesome their look and image was at that time. True fact, the first time I saw an Alice Cooper record, it was Billion Dollar Babies. And the outside of it was, the snakeskin wallet. You didn't actually see the band. I saw the name Alice Cooper, and the first mental picture that came to my mind was Joni Mitchell. I just thought immediately of a long-haired, blonde, female folk singer. Alice Cooper, Joni Mitchell, I didn't know. Imagine my surprise when I saw what Alice Cooper looked like. The first ever Alice Cooper I got was the Alice Cooper Show Live, the live album from 1977. And the first Cooper album by the band I ever got was Muscle of Love. A lot of people don't like Muscle of Love. Even the members of the Cooper Group have sort of condemned it with faint praise. But I really like that record. It's a much smoother, easier listen than the earlier Cooper Group records, but it's still pretty dang good. Big Apple Dreamin', Woman Machine, Working Up a Sweat, Crazy Little Child. It's a good record. Great packaging, too. So yeah, kids, we're batting 500 now. I don't know if anybody would have expected Klaus Nomi. I'm sure everybody was expecting Alice Cooper. Would anybody really expect and this is something else we haven't talked about in incredible depth, but I've heard Jeff mention it, and this type of music really resonates with me deeply and hardcorely. The original UK two-tone bands, the ska movement of the late 70s, early 80s, spearheaded, of course, by the Specials. We're talking about other great British two-tone bands like the Body Snatchers, Bad Manners, the English Beat, so many others. I can't even remember all of them. The Selector, and a whole lot of other bands that never even really progressed to full-length album status. The two-tone craze was really exciting, and like a lot of people, I'm sure this was my introduction to ska music. I mean, nobody really had ever heard ska prior to these groups being played as much as they were, which was not much, but being played as much as they were on the radio and being able to see a record like this in the record bins. It was really exciting stuff. To hear ska music played at the speed and the velocity and the aggression that these bands played it with, really exciting. Really got my hackles up. Cannot remember when and where I first heard of the Specials. Probably read about the Specials and the two-tone bands. Probably read about them in Cream magazine. And actually, I do know where I first heard the Specials. I heard the Specials on the King Biscuit Flower Hour, which along with Cream magazine was a really, really important source of musical information for yours truly, and no doubt a lot of other people. King Biscuit was a 1-hour live radio show that aired, when I lived in Miami, it aired Sunday nights at 11 p.m. And since they had a full hour to fill every single week, they had to go much further afield looking for bands to record and play on their show, because it was a live music show. They played an hour of live music every single week. And, you know, I'm sure they would have been very happy to play an hour of live Led Zeppelin every week, or an hour of live Bob Seger every week, or an hour of live whatever, you know, boring, dull, profitable AOR rock every week. But you really can't. Even that would turn people off after a while. So in order to fill programming time, they had to go out and record and give valuable airtime to bands who normally would never have gotten it. And the Specials were one of those bands. I heard the King Biscuit Flower Hour live broadcast of the Specials one Sunday night, and that was it. I was hooked. They got it. I went out and bought the record. I went out and bought all the singles I could possibly find. Love the Specials, especially. The other two-tone bands, like them a lot. Love the Specials. And of course, their version of ska ultimately became the gateway into authentic ska, which if the two-tone bands and their records were, you know, at least somewhat easy to find, you know, it took a little bit of digging, but you could find records by those bands. Finding original, authentic Jamaican ska, that was tough. Even living in Miami, you know, Miami, we're, you know, within a very short plane ride from the islands, You know, Jamaica's just a hop, skip, and a jump by air from Miami. And Miami was really, really blessed with a great reggae store called Rankin Records. I forget the name of the guy who owned the place, but he brought in like all the reggae sides. And there was reggae radio and reggae bands and reggae clubs. So reggae was pretty easy, but vintage ska, not so. Finding real original vintage ska records was and still is tough. A large reason being, a couple of reasons being, that they were meant only for the domestic market in Jamaica, and also to an extent in the UK, where there's a very large Jamaican population. So if you're in Jamaica or you're in England, ska records, fairly easy to find. In the States, hardly at all. So to come across something like this is a real gem from my collection. And I must take this moment to mention that I make a lot of my living by buying and selling records, new and used. And if you go to Discogs and look up TPOS, you will see my web store. I got a lot of cool stuff for sale. Please check it out. As much as Harry the Cat has a hard time handling Antiseen played at loud volume in my living room, I do take a lot of joy in feeding the guy every day and making sure he has a nice, fresh, clean blanket every now and again. Cat food costs money. Just saying. Your purchase on the TPOS Discogs store helps keep my cat fat and healthy and catching mice for me. So yeah, I make my living by selling records, but this one, not for sale. Original, authentic Jamaican pressing, the best of Don Drummond on the great Studio One label, straight out of Jamaica. Look at that. Now, I don't know who Douglas is. Normally, if you really want to incur my wrath, show me a record that's been written all over by the original owner. Douglas, well, not on just one label, Douglas on the other label. Not only Douglas on the front cover, Douglas on the back, aka Mighty Doug. Normally that would really peeve me, but for some reason I just think it's kind of cool. I just really get this vivid mental picture of Douglas in Jamaica with his marker. Looks to me like he was practicing his signature. I don't know why, I just find that to be kind of endearing. And it actually looks kind of cool when you're playing the record on the turntable and you see this guy's signature spinning around and around underneath the Studio One logo. It actually kind of works. But this, I would not ever have known about people like Don Drummond and the original Scatolites and Lee Scratch Perry and, the Mighty Diamonds and the original Wailers and all that stuff if it weren't for the British two-tone brand of ska. So more of a tip of the hat to those bands for introducing a lot of us to the real deal, because this music is timeless and classic. And we definitely agree on that. I was talking to my main gal, Chrissy, earlier today, and I told her that I was going to be on Break On Through today, talking about the music that Jeff and I agree on. And her first comment was, y'all going to talk about Kiss? I wrote back to her and I said, is it that obvious? In so many words, she said, yes. Well, all right then. We agree on it. We agree on it. Kind of the same deal. I can't speak for Walt Wheat because we haven't spent a whole lot of quality time together, but since the day I first sat in the van with Antiseen up until the time that Mad Brother Ward retired from playing guitar with us, it was just a given. Just a given that all four of us were going to sit around and talk about Kiss in the most ridiculous, nauseating, vomitose, obsessive, disgusting, microscopic, out of control, verging on mentally ill detail that a normal person could possibly imagine. Nobody said that we were normal. I'm going to risk a two-finger salute. It's kind of hard with that one. I think I can kind of do it. A two-finger salute to the concept of normality. I don't dig it. I don't dig it. It ain't my thing. Don't like it. Some people out there can do it. Great. You do that. Personally, I can't. I won't. I don't. Which is why, sitting around a table at the Antiseen rehearsal studio discussing attendance figures for the Kiss Dynasty tour is really interesting. Sitting in Sir Barry Hannibal's living room and talking about the overdub process on the Kiss Alive album is entertaining for hours and hours and hours. Which is why picking up an album like Kiss Unmasked and having an epic, gigantic, almost violent argument over whether it's a good album or a bad album. It is so much fun. I love it. These discussions happen and I say, my people. My people. I'm talking to my people now. My people. I think the consensus in the band, and once again, don't quote me on this exactly, is that Dynasty is not a bad album. I know for a fact that's how I think about it. I think it's actually, in terms of pop music, it's a really good pop record. Is it a good rock and roll record? Well, the Ace Frehley songs, Save Your Love, especially Hard Times, woo, awesome. Those two Ace Frehley songs alone kind of redeem that entire album. I Was Made for Loving You, great, love it, love it. I've gone on record saying a number of times, and this is something that Jeff Clayton and I also agree on, disco does not suck. Disco does not suck. And Kiss doing disco, at least in that instance, does not suck. We agree that we love Kiss, and we agree that our love for Kiss goes to unnatural and unhealthy depths. So what? I hoist my 1-gallon jug of Danbury Tap to morbid Kiss obsession. One of the drops of glue that holds Antiseen together. What else do we agree upon? We agree upon our love for 70s soul music. True fact, on overnight Antiseen rides from gigs, Jeff Clayton's the driver, and the playlist is 70s soul music. To me, that is a night in paradise. To have gotten done playing a flamethrower show to a bunch of rabid maniacs, stopping at the convenience store to snack up, and then hopping in the van and driving through unknown territory in a foreign part of the world with some of the best music you could ever hope to hear as the soundtrack. 70s soul music. And 60s too, like late 60s, probably any 60s really, maybe even some 80s. But the focus is 70s. This one I think is from the late 60s. And this is another one of those records from my personal collection that if you ever see this on eBay with a note that it came from me and my collection, you know that I'm either dead or that the homeless shelter required $20 that night or whatever. Don't know if y'all can read it, but this is I Want Justice by Jimmy Hughes. And this is just the coolest thing in the world, man. A 45 RPM single. I know Jeff did a talk last week on Break On Through about 7-inch singles. My favorite format. The 7-inch single, the 45 RPM single, is my favorite format. See, when I was a kid, when I was a young snot, this was the primary mode of music delivery. Remembering there was no Spotify, there was no YouTube, there was no such thing as a download, there was no internet, there was radio and record players. That's how you heard music. Maybe on TV, but that was it. You had to go into your living room or your bedroom and turn on a radio and dial in a radio station to hear music. You had to go to the record store and look for records that you heard on the radio in order to buy the record and take it home and play it anytime you wanted to. And the 45 was the workhorse format. You know, for decades it was like this. The 45s carried the entire music industry. You had the strong plug side, the one that got played on the radio, and then the B side, which could be a throwaway track or an album track, or, best of all, a non-album track that you couldn't get anywhere else. So, when I was a kid, a 45 RPM record cost 99 cents. And quite often, it was exactly what you see here. Just a record in a plain white sleeve, and you have to look at the label on the front and look at the label on the back to see what it was. Plunk down when I lived in Florida, 99 cents plus tax was $1.04. Plunk down the $1.04, and then either walk home or get on my bike, or if it was a family trip to the mall, sit in the back seat and drive home with mom and dad in the front, just waiting for the chance to put this record on the record player and listen to it and be able to hear this song anytime I wanted to hear it. And if I wanted to play it twice in a row, I could do it. I didn't have to wait to hear it on the radio. It was right here in my hands. Loved it. Best thing in the world. And there are, who even knows how many millions and millions and millions and millions, I'm not even exaggerating, hundreds of millions of these things there are out there in the world, just waiting to be found. People have stacks and piles and boxes of these things in their garages. You go to a thrift shop and you're practically guaranteed to find dozens, if not hundreds of them. Go to the flea market. You'll probably find 1 million of them in one day. And you never know what's going to be there. You never know what's going to be one of those things. The only reason I found this particular one, I Want Justice by Jimmy Hughes, was because I was digging through one of those boxes of loose 45s at a thrift shop or a flea market or something. I saw it. I thought the title looked kind of interesting. So I paid whatever, quarter or $1 or whatever, for a buck. Why not take a chance on it? If it really sucks, you can smash it to little tiny pieces and throw it around the room and have a nice temper tantrum for $1. You can't lose. But when it turns out to be an awesome, really killer side like I Want Justice by Jimmy Hughes, man, there's hardly a better feeling in the world. And so when a song like that comes on the radio or is on the playlist, I mark out. And I know the other dudes, like Russ, I don't think Russ was particularly into soul music. He liked it. And I think Barry is kind of the same way. But the one thing that Jeff and I do agree on, and since this is an issue of Break On Through, it's got to be Jeff Clayton-centric, we do agree on our love for vintage soul music and disco. Maybe that wasn't so obvious. Maybe that's why I brought it up. Maybe I was just softening everybody up for one that is real obvious, and this is something, once again, that at a minimum of 3 out of 4 members of Antiseen agree on. Duh. Did I really have to say that? Come on now. Is this the most perfect Ramones album ever made? I think so. Now, we don't get into the in-depth discussions with the Ramones like we do with Kiss, or for that matter, of Planet of the Apes or Star Wars. But, I mean, we love the Ramones. Love the Ramones. Sir Barry, oddly enough, being the exception. Sir Barry, it's not like Sir Barry dislikes the Ramones. Sir Barry just never even really listened to the Ramones at all. It just never happened. Never happened. Sir Barry's more of a Sex Pistols dude. He wasn't really into the US punk, UK punk. He's a British citizen. What else would you expect? But 3 out of 4 Antiseens agree that the Ramones are the bee's knees. If the Ramones come on, everybody reaches to the dial to turn it up. No arguments there, kids. Rocket to Russia, baby. Rocket to Russia. And I'm going to go on my high horse. My high hobby horse, no less. My highfalutin hobby horse. I'm going to tell you people what I think my favorite Ramones record is. And this changes a lot. It could be Rocket to Russia. It could be It's Alive. It could be Too Tough to Die. Right here, right now, this very minute. And one that I can put on any time and enjoy no matter what. Does anybody recognize the back of this Ramones record? Once again, I want to see some audience participation. How many people out there are going to identify this Ramones album by the back cover? I'm holding it up. I want to see the name of it. I'm going to pick up the monitor, and I'm going to sit here like Eugene Scott used to. I'm just going to sit here till I see some results. Who can identify this record? Jesse Small says Road to Ruin. Jesse Small, the answer to that is no. And I think herein lies one of the problems. Mark Deal says, is it Brain Drain? Mark Deal, the answer is no. And that's one of the problems with this record. This record does not get nearly enough love. Johnny Ramone himself has stated on a number of times that he does not like this record. He thinks the production sucks on it. Joey Ramone, by all accounts, loves this record. This was their second album that was a deliberate attempt. I mean, really, they all were. You know, starting with Road to Ruin. Like, the first 3 albums, the Ramones were kind of mystified. They didn't understand why the first 3 albums didn't get a lot of airplay. So with Road to Ruin, they said, okay, we're definitely going to smooth out the edges. We're going to do 12 songs instead of 14. We're really going to focus on the production, and we're going to have a hit album. It didn't happen. So they said, okay, well, I guess we need an outside producer. I guess we need Phil Spector. We all know the story of Phil Spector and End of the Century, and how that was going to be the big radio hit and going to sell 1 million records and didn't. But the last gasp attempt of the Ramones to produce a hit record, a radio-friendly name producer hit record, I think was the best, the most successful attempt. Better than Road to Ruin, and a damn sight better than End of the Century. I'm talking about the album that nobody could name by looking at the back. Pleasant Dreams, kids. Pleasant Dreams. To me, this is the perfect synthesis of Ramones' raw power with pop perfect production. Produced by Graham Gouldman of 10cc, and also the guy who wrote all those great radio hits, Bus Stop. I'm drawing a blank right now, but look up Graham Gouldman and the songs he wrote in the 60s. That dude knew pop. Phil Spector didn't know pop. Graham Gouldman knew pop. And the way he produces this record brings a tear to my eye, man. The guitars are all there. It's all guitars. They're just not as in your face as on Rocket to Russia. It's got all the production tricks that Marky Ramone used. Extra guitar, keyboards, backing vocals. All that stuff is there on the first 4 Ramones records. Graham Gouldman just brings them up a little bit. Brings the guitars down just a little bit and brings the production just up a little bit. And the songwriting on this record, not a clunker on the lot. This record, my friends, kicks ass so hard that by all rights, anybody listening to it will be hopping around on one foot afterwards. I might just go crank it really loud right now. Why? Because I can. And why? Because Harry's already outside. He's not going to jump out the window. So I can do it mercifully and protect my alpha male status. No problem. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. But not until first I've thanked everybody for tuning in. Great to have you guys on board. Thank you for tuning in every Tuesday to Break On Through on the Antiseen official Facebook page. Do not be remiss in your duties. If you haven't already, you must subscribe to the Antiseen Facebook. Take 2. Do not be remiss in your duties. By all means, you must subscribe to the Antiseen official YouTube channel, curated by yours truly. While you're there, take a step sideways over and subscribe to my channel, because I got a lot of cool stuff on YouTube. If you tune in every Tuesday to Break On Through, tune in every Wednesday to my show, which is called Tent Talks Tunes. And I was going to wear my new set. I think I can do this. My new set of Tent Talk Tunes buttons. But I was so busy wrestling with a damn tripod that I just didn't have time. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. on my Facebook page, I Talk Tunes. Antiseen, live in Tampa, Scumstock 2022, at the Brass Mug. It's us with a killing tradition, without MF Order and a host of others. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be one of the very first shows played by our exciting new lineup. And we got a lot of stuff going on. When I say we, I mean Antiseen as a whole. We got a lot of stuff. on the cooker right now. And speaking not only as the bass player, not only as the minister of propaganda, but as a raving fanboy, I'm excited about what's coming up with Antiseen. So keep your, jaundiced, cynical eyes, take two. Your jaundiced, cynical, you can tell my blood sugar's getting low. Take three. Keep your jaundiced, cynical eyes open and glued carefully to the Antiseen Facebook page, antiseen.com, and the Antiseen YouTube channel for exciting new developments, because this band never stops. Tune in about 167 hours for next week's episode of Break On Through, or tomorrow for Tent Talks Tunes. Wherever it is, whenever it is, I look forward to it. Until we meet again, this is Malcolm Tent saying so long from the Nutmeg State.